Well, thanks for sitting down and meeting with us, Crissy. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions just because you are a huge inspiration to all women in automotive. One of the questions that I wanted to ask is, what are some of the challenges that you have faced maybe in the past, and what are some challenges that still keep coming up in your day-to-day life?
So one of my main challenges when I first got into the business was being a single mom and juggling, the hours that came. Like prior to coming into the automotive industry, I had no knowledge, like no clue exactly what a typical car salesperson, how they worked and, not understanding, hey, this isn't a standard 9 to 5, So when I first got into the car business, my children were younger. They were school age kids. So, just trying to juggle that, it was kind of stressful. I'm in the process of working a deal with a customer, and I'm like, oh man, it's time to get them, but I can't leave because I just closed this deal. They got to go through finance. I got to finish the delivery, and I didn't really have many people to lean on at the dealership. So, that was stressful.
So there's a lot of moms in automotive. Just going back on what you said, how did you overcome, having to deal with scheduling issues and picking up your kids when you're at work?
Well, luckily for me, when I first got in the business, like I hit the ground selling a lot of cars, which gave me the ability to make more money than what I was used to making, and I'm really good with my finances. So I was able to fit into my budget, to be able to afford extra childcare. And as the years went on, I actually retired my mom and she became my nanny. So, I don't have those worries anymore.
So, in other words, if somebody didn't maybe have some extra care, family member wise, you would kind of suggest, you are making that money. Unfortunately, you do have to put it aside to take care of your kids with extra daycare and things like that.
Yeah, I definitely stretch it. It's really important. Like in this business, we're making way more money than what we're used to. And some people have the mindset of spend a check, get it right back. And then some people like me are like, ooh, I'm making all this money. And I begin to properly plan my finances. So I'm like, okay, well, I can budget this in because I do now have this extra source of income.
So some of your success, you would say, maybe comes from financing and just time management, but not only that, is financial management?
Correct.
Awesome.
And then let me add to that too. So once I showed my worth to the dealership, it opened up the doors to be able to allow me to have my own schedule. I've always had an open schedule. So, again, controlling finances, being able to now afford extra childcare. And then two, now I don't have to worry about a standard Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I'm only off on this day. So, that's definitely a benefit that I enjoy being able to have in the business. And touching bases on that, when you get to that level of selling 73 cars in 1 month by yourself on the showroom floor, you can definitely have that ability to where the dealership is giving you the ability to have your own schedule as well.
So moving on to a couple other questions. What is one of the most important parts of your role that you do in the dealership? We mentioned how you specialize in special finance and different things like that, but what would you say your most important role in the dealership would be?
So currently my most important role in the dealership is not just being a car saleswoman, but I'm also like building a really good relationship with my team. I'm showing my other peers that, hey, there's hope in getting multiple customers on the showroom floor, and what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm calling them on the phone, getting online, sending the emails, sending the text, because that's my strategy. It's not the same. That is what I'm doing. I'm online. I'm on my phone talking to customers. I'm on social media. I might be on my cell phone. I might pick up the phone at the dealer phone and call one of them. So that's one of the things that, I'm showing aside from just being a standard salesperson.
Definitely. And so going back to, communicating with customers and, your peers, your coworkers, what is one thing that you kind of learned, not necessarily even about automotive, but maybe even just how to treat people sometimes? Did you learn anything like that?
Absolutely. I mean, when you're dealing with special finance customers, some of them have patience, but then some of them are kind of unrealistic, in their situation. So, dealing with those type of customers definitely
Taught you some people skills.
Yeah, absolutely. It taught me patience because I didn't have any. I'm not gonna lie. I had no type of patience, and I'm like, wow, I'm sitting here for 6 hours with a customer.
Wow, yeah.
And, you know, some of them get a little crazy. So it's not always pleasant, but, you know, it kind of upped my customer service skills as well.
That's
So,
amazing.
you know, I'm able to keep a positive attitude even though inside I'm like...
And the time's dragging.
Right.
That's awesome. So I just wanted to know maybe what are, if you can limit it to, maybe top 3 insider secrets or, you know, insider trader secrets, especially in the automotive when it comes to women. What are some, you know, top 3 things that you think are the most important if you're a woman starting in automotive and just general in automotive?
So as a female, you know, our drive is kind of different than men, you know, hormones. So it's just a lot that goes into dealing with a woman. Our everyday routine, whether that's washing your face for 40 minutes or putting on a face and makeup, making sure our hair is properly intact, you know, picking out the right type of outfit for the day. It's a lot that just goes into being a woman in general. So when you're coming into the automotive industry, you know, you got to have proper time management to say, okay, I got to scale back on some of that, you know, to put that time into getting to work, being dedicated. I got to interact with customers. My goal is I want to sell cars. I want to make a lot of money, and then go on to whatever, you know, the rest looks like.
Okay, so you're a professional. I mean, that's a light word to say, but definitely a professional. What would you say are some of the common mistakes that people in the automotive industry make, male or female?
One is a lot of them are too money driven.
Can you go into that? Too money driven?
So when you're too money driven, it can kind of get in the way of the interaction with the customer. And sometimes that can push a customer away versus, you know, wanting them to actually purchase a sale. I've seen, you know, because sometimes I sit behind the desk and act as a sales manager, you know, and the guys or girls, you know, they're more focused on hitting a 7-pounder, a 10-pounder. You know, not realizing this customer is still here. The process is not completed, you know. So
they're worried about the sale instead of making a customer. They just want to make money.
Absolutely, you know. And for me, I'm kind of different. I'm not worried about the sale, you know. If I go to work every day and I only sell one customer out of seeing 4, I'm okay with that, you know. So that's definitely one thing that, you know, I've noticed in the automotive industry.
That makes sense. What are maybe a couple other things that you find people making mistakes? Maybe management?
100%.
Management?
I've noticed that some management, you know, they get in the way of the sale. Luckily for me, I've never had a TL process because I'm a good closer, literally. I am. But I've saw that, you know, when some managers get in the way and interact with this customer, you know, when they don't need to. You have a salesperson who's sat with a customer for 30, 45 minutes, and they've interacted with them and got to know them, you know, and they know exactly what their wants and needs are. And then you have a sales manager that comes and intervenes and just dominates. Didn't, you know, go over the aspects of what's important to this customer. And all they're trying to do is sell, and close the deal. I've seen where, too, that, you know, hurts a customer from wanting to purchase vehicle from the dealership.
Yeah. Like you said, instead of focusing on maybe the emotional aspect of there's a customer here, how do I solve their problem? It's I have a car out there, how can I sell it?
Right.
That makes sense. So what would you say that your daily motivator is, and then obviously your long time over motivator, just because you've been in the industry for a little while now and you're a superstar. So I just want to know what your daily motivation is and just what your overall motivation is.
I mean, my daily motivation is going to always be my children. Literally. I mean, they're my reason, you know. Without me, what do they have? So that's always my daily motivator. And then just wanting more for myself. You know, I have goals that I set outside of, you know, work life. But in order to achieve some of those, I have to be my best that I can be in my current career. So those are 2 things that do motivate me, my children, and then, you know, how I'm operating as a person, making sure that I'm healthy, you know, to be able to stand and work 10, 12 hours a day.
The days get long.
Yeah, they can get long.
Can you go into maybe how as a woman working long days, maybe some of the things that you faced and some of the challenges where I wish I had a different pair of shoes or I wish I kept an extra blazer in the back, something like that?
Absolutely. So the mistake that I used to make you know, when I'm pulling in 7 and 10 customers at a time, is that I didn't take time for myself. And this is a true story. Like, I had a moment on the showroom floor. Like, I was just so overwhelmed. And I'm like, I want to cry so bad. But I'm like, I'm a female around all these men, so I can't do that, you know. But the reason why I allowed myself to get to that point is because I didn't have a process set in place for me. So now I have like a timer that tells me, okay, you need to go eat a snack. And I hydrate myself. I drink so much water, literally, because it gives me natural energy. So as long as I'm properly hydrated, I can maneuver and run circles and deal with 3 and 4 and 5 customers at a time.
That makes sense. Definitely keeping on track and setting those little timer reminders.
Absolutely.
I think almost everyone, just because once you get into that headspace, like you said, you're with the customer for so long, that could definitely help anybody in
the worst thing is to be sitting with a customer and you are looking dehydrated, or you're yawning, you're tired. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on with this person?
They're not even excited, and the customer wants to purchase
I want to
a
make
vehicle.
sure that I'm like, my energy is good, because the energy that I'm giving off, you know, definitely makes a difference on how this transaction is going to go. Purchasing the car is a huge milestone. So
Crissy, I'm dying to know, when you wake up in the morning to the second you go to bed, what does your day look like in the day of Crissy the Car Fairy?
Absolutely. For me, I have a routine where my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning. One of my mentors told me, you know, you work your best when you wake up super early, and that's true. Like, when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, for some odd reason, I have way more energy, but I'm more eager. I'm like, okay, well, I got to get up, drop the kids off at school. Because they don't ride buses, so I do have to get them up. Luckily, my kids are old enough now where they can get themselves ready. But I do, like, I pack them lunch, I get them to school. Then I come back home and I get myself together. So I do have a routine. I know I talked about earlier where, you know, some women spend too much time on this, that, and the other, but I do. You know, I properly get myself together. Then I go over my planners for the day. Like, how many appointments do I have coming in for the day? I do my confirmations, because it's important to know, hey, are these customers still coming in? Because, again, I have my own schedule. So I don't want to just go into work and then not knowing what my day is going to look like. So I do confirm with all of my previously set appointments. You know, I check my social medias, because I do get a lot of customers from there, and seeing if I'm needing to schedule any appointments same day, next day, or whatever that looks like. And then once I go to work, like, everything is usually set in stone. So I kind of like schedule my customers in 15-minute increments. So, because for me, I feel like I can do everything that I need to do for a customer within, you know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, you know, especially in the special finance world. When they come in, it's not more so, hey, let's walk the lot and see what you want. It's more so, hey, let's start the process to apply, submit the application to the banks to see exactly what it is that you qualify for. So that process is pretty quick, because a lot of my customers understand it when I break it down. You know, this is the process that we need to do. And then, you know, they understand, hey, I'm going to have to submit it to the bank, and then we'll go from there. And that can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes it's quicker, and sometimes it's longer, but I'm setting that expectation so that way, once I move on to my next customer, they're not just sitting there in limbo, like, okay, well, what's she doing? Why is she working with this person? So, and then, you know, going on into the day, again, we talked about the process of making sure I'm hydrated and taking a little bit of time for myself. I don't take lunch breaks, but I do take, you know, a little step away for myself and get back into it. So, you know, because I do have systems in place, once I get off of work from selling, whether it's 3 cars, 4 cars, or 8 cars, because that's the highest that I've sold in one day is 8 cars, I'm not so drained and tired. And once I get home, you know, I can peacefully go to sleep, you know, and be eager to be able to do it all over again the next day.
And that was my next question. How do you not feel burnt out at the end of the day? So, you know, some people work 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. You know, obviously we know you work your own schedule, so it might not be like that, but you can definitely get burnt out pretty easily.
Absolutely.
So how do you kind of overcome that?
Like we just talked about, you know, having systems in place. You have to have a system in place. There is no way that you can successfully be in this industry and hit top numbers without having systems in place to say, I'm going to do this and then do this and then do this, and the end result is I've had a great day. I've sold a lot of cars or even a car, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't overwhelm you.
So staying kind of on your own set personal schedule,
Correct.
Taking the snack time when the bell rings, not saying I'll do it in another 10 minutes and reset the timer. It's kind of sticking
Correct.
to that set schedule that you set for
Correct.
yourself. That's really awesome.
Do you like the content? Well, if you want more, then you need to sign up for Bradley On Demand, the world's best virtual training platform in the entire automotive industry. With some of the top speakers, salespeople, and trainers, and almost 7,000 training modules. You will sell more cars more often and more profitably. So sign up now at www.bradleyondemand.com.